All right, so today we're here with.
Ken Gerhard, cryptozoologist.
So tell me a little bit about cryptozoology.
So, cryptozoology is the study of evidence of hidden animals. That's kind of a technical way to say I look for Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabra, all kinds of mysterious creatures that may or may not lurk our planet.
So, what made you get into this field?
Oh man, it's been a lifelong passion ever since I was a little kid and found out about Bigfoot. I was just hooked. And I've just spent my whole life traveling. I've traveled all around the world, and I've searched for mysterious creatures and animals in different countries. And I never expected to make it a career. I've just been very blessed and had a lot of cool opportunities. So
Have you found any evidence of a Bigfoot or anything?
I haven't found conclusive evidence, but I've found things like footprints that I believe may be associated with Bigfoot and other mysterious animals. I've recorded vocalizations or sounds that I think are Bigfoot. I've studied the remains of animals in Texas that people call chupacabras. Those turned out to be kind of a known species, but they had like weird mutations or like weird features and stuff. So I found some cool stuff, but obviously my goal is to find something conclusive that I can take to the scientific establishment and say, here it is. Haven't found that yet.
Like, do you just love animals, or did you just come into this by accident?
Oh, I love animals. My first pet was an alligator, and I used to have all kinds of exotic pets. I'd go out in the woods and collect snakes and all kinds of things. And I'm currently affiliated with the San Antonio Zoo in San Antonio, Texas. And I work there as an educator to teach people about all kinds of animals, bears and jaguars, and whatever they're interested in. So
All right.
yeah. So I'm having a great time at Alien Con. This isn't my normal gig. I'm obviously fascinated with aliens and UFOs like everyone else. I just don't know a lot about it, but it's really a cool honor to be here. And if people want to check me out, they can find my books on Amazon and they can watch me on TV shows like The Proof is Out There, Ancient Aliens, and so forth. So
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, I've been on quite a few TV shows, and usually if they've got a show about Bigfoot or something like that, you might see me pop up. So.
So, what are some of the TV shows that they can catch you on besides Agent Aliens?
Missing in Alaska was a series I co-hosted on History Channel. Monster Quest, which is an old school kind of show. Unexplained with William Shatner, and various odds and ends here and there.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So today we're here with.
Mark D'Antonio.
How did you get into the UFO field?
I got into the UFO field when I was 11 years old, and I joined the Mutual UFO Network. And that was way, way long time ago. And now I'm their chief photo and video analyst. And I see the strangest things coming from MUFON. And people provide me with the strangest things. There's so many people that see and experience events that they can't explain that it makes total sense to literally try to pay attention to it and figure it out.
How long have you been doing this thing?
I've been doing MUFON as their chief photo and video analyst since 2008, but I've been in MUFON since 1971, so that's a long time ago.
What about your book?
This book is called The Populated Universe, and it details how I think life in the universe, in fact, life on Earth, is the rule, not the exception, because we're all based on carbon atoms, and carbon and oxygen are very, very important elements in the universe. And so, being that carbon and oxygen are among the most plentiful of elements in the entire universe, it stands to reason that if life's going to develop, it's going to use a very flexible element like carbon that can bond with hundreds of thousands of things, makes hundreds of thousands of different combinations and compounds. And more importantly, the bonds it makes to make those compounds can also be broken and manipulated into other things easily. And carbon is the only atom that can do that at all. It's the only atom that can do it. So it's what we call the granddaddy of all elements. All right. So that's what we do with carbon. Carbon means to us, it makes the most sense to consider that carbon is something that will make up life around the universe.
So, have you ever seen an alien?
I have never seen an alien. I would really like to. I've seen unidentified objects in the sky, but never any type of alien life. But I think we'll find it.
Can you describe some of the objects you've seen in the sky?
Well, one of the things that we've seen in the sky are objects that move through the sky in a way that's really unbelievable. They move at high speed sometimes. Sometimes they make curves, sweeping curves. I caught some of those. Um, and sometimes I saw a couple of things that were just bright dots in the sky that showed up and stayed there for many minutes on end. Those could have been high altitude balloons, or they could have been something different. Don't know.
All right, so we're here with,
Dwayne.
and
Chuck G from Sasquatch Syndicate.
all right, so what made you want to get into Sasquatches?
Having an encounter when I was young. Just I had an encounter with a Sasquatch and thought it was a real thing and knew it was a real thing, and then everybody tells you you're crazy. Pent it up for a long time, and now I'm old enough not to care. So this is how all this came about.
What year was this?
1977, Roy Washington, Washington State.
So, what part of the woods were you in?
Washington State, and not in the woods. I was in a friend's backyard. Well, his home was pretty much in the woods, about a 5-mile gravel road to get to his house, real secluded. And just happened one night there, seen a pair of eyes and an arm go up on a tree, and can't get it out of my head. Just got that GIF file running there, and here I am.
So, have you actually tried to pursue and actually look for more Sasquatches?
Yeah, we have. We go out once in a while. We've gone up to the peninsula, Washington State. A lot of good evidence up there, some track casts. A lot of good. If you're going to find one, that's where it's at.
What kind of equipment do you use? Because me personally, when I go UFO hunting, I actually use an infrared, like night vision type deal.
We don't use a lot of stuff. We may put up a trail cam or something, but it's more eyes on and evidence. I mean, it's just pictures just kind of don't do it anymore. They're either too blurry, they're too good. You know what I mean? So everybody's going to judge it. We just kind of, for us, it's not is it, it's what is it. That's kind of what we're trying to find out. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody, just other than to myself. I just want to know what it is. It's kind of the bottom line of that. I can tell people all day, and they believe you or they don't. It's kind of where it's at.
I don't know, like what is that's your only proof of Bigfoot? Like you really love it though. I understand it.
It's all the proof I need. I mean, it's eye-to-eye contact with one is all I need. I'm not out to prove it to anybody else, but more than happy to share what happened to me. And just, it's part of me. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's a wonderful thing that happened, but there's a lot of people that just aren't in that camp, and I'm fine with that, So I'm just here to get whatever information I can get to give to people that are interested,
So what was your first feeling when you actually encountered a Bigfoot?
Was my first feeling, I used to watch like In Search of back in the day, Spock, Leonard Nimoy, and he showed us a Bigfoot on TV, the famous Patterson-Gimlin film. So when I had my encounter, I'm like, oh, okay. I just naturally assumed, okay, well, it's normal. There it is. And I seen one. My buddy that was with me, he got scared and ran. He's like, nah, I ain't have nothing to do with this giant gorilla over here. But I was fascinated by it. And like that's so I wasn't scared till he got scared. Just, you know what I mean? Like, hey, if you're running, I'm running. I'm going to be here by myself. But I mean that's kind of it. I just rolled with it. Wasn't scared. I mean, I don't think anybody should be scared. You just don't hear. Nobody's getting ripped up, torn apart. Be afraid of the mountain lions, the cougars, and all the bears and all that stuff out there. Sasquatch will leave you alone.
So you think they're like non-harmful to humans?
Nah, not at all. We don't know what we don't know, but I would think just like anything, maybe just like you and me, push something far enough, something will happen. You already know.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. So today we're here with?
Hi, I'm Richard D. Lewis, the Paranormal Christian.
So what made you start this book that you have?
Well, I'm a UFO witness, and I grew up experiencing the supernatural, but I'm also a Christian. So for me, you go to church and you learn about some things, but a lot of these more mysterious, esoteric concepts aren't always addressed by the clergy. And, we have questions. I mean, everybody has ghost stories and experiences, and they want to make sense of it all. So what I've attempted to do with my brand here, the Paranormal Christian, is to try to take and examine these from a sound biblical perspective, but also using anecdotal evidence, scientific evidence, and trying to bring it all together so that we can all make sense of it, and understand, why we're here, what we're doing here on planet Earth.
What part of biblical history do you try to tie it to?
Well, everything. The paranormal and the Bible should not be separate, and that's the thing that I'm trying to let people know, because paranormal simply means supernatural, and if you look at the Bible, it is a supernatural proof text, or a paranormal book, basically, from cover to cover. So anything that's relevant, a lot of Christians, they don't have a problem accepting the immaculate conception of Jesus Christ, the resurrection, walking on the water, and the disciples even thought Jesus was a ghost when they saw him walking on the water, and when he appeared after his resurrection. So there was an implicit belief in ghosts. Maybe even I could point to reincarnation in the Bible. There's even people would say UFOs, but I make sense of all of it without contradicting the faith or the Bible, and while still being very respectful to the paranormal community as well. So it's a big job, but I'm happy to do it.
So where did you have your first UFO sighting?
Well, I'm actually an Air Force veteran and a Space Force veteran. So I've had some experience being around the military, being around high-tech aircraft, the kind of stuff that was developed at Area 51. I've seen it close up. I've been around every major rocket launch, from the Atlas V to the Delta IV, the Minotaur rockets. I've even seen the space shuttle launch. I've seen satellites. I've seen satellites both in development, going through learning what the rigors of space are, all the way to even from Earth viewing the ISS, the International Space Station, what that looks like. So I've got a good trained eye on what our stuff looks like, and so if something's outside of that, I'm pretty keen to notice, because I'm a huge sky watcher. I have been since I was a little kid, and it's not common to see something that would be unidentified. But if it is unidentified, that shouldn't be a stigma, because it's just unidentified until you know what it is. But I have had two sightings in my experience. The first one was in Colorado Springs many years ago, which is where the Air Force Academy is, where Peterson Air Force Base is. At the time, Falcon Air Force Station, and also not far from there is Cheyenne, Wyoming, where our NORAD headquarters is. So, so one of the sightings I had there was of a red orb, and it was actually on Academy Boulevard. I was traveling home one night, and this was in the late '80s. There were a lot of people that actually pulled their cars off to the side of the road to take a look at it. Now, this was, over 30 years ago. If it happened today, I would just think, oh, that's a drone, and just move along. Back then, we didn't have that drone technology, or at least that we know of, right? So that was an interesting sighting. I went right home and told my wife about it, and turned on the news, tried to find something on the local news. Well, back then, it wasn't a very friendly topic for the local news, even if the sighting was reported by anybody else to MUFON or whatever else. But I even called NORAD. I called NORAD a couple of days later, and I spoke to one of the public affairs NCOs there. By the way, these opinions of mine, my viewpoints and opinions are those of my own, and not necessarily the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Space Force. So I just got to put that out there. But the NORAD sergeant was very kind, and but he basically gave me the whole talking points that they've had since Project Blue Book. So we don't know we don't know of anything that's out there or whatever, but we don't have any information here, kind of thing. So and then later on, I had another sighting many years later in Borrego Springs in 2016, and I come to find out that's actually a hotspot for UFOs. It's also a great dark sky night watching type place, because I was there just to do some sky watching, and I saw a kind of an opening, like an oval shaped whitish image that in the very, very fabric of this night sky space, dark inky black, and it was just like an oval opening and then closing, and I had no idea what I saw at the time, but who knows, was it a portal opening? It was definitely nothing conventional, I can tell you that. So those are kind of the biggies for me for UFOs. I've also written about UFOs in my latest book, The Paranormal Christian, Book 2. I devote about 20% of the book just to the topic of UFOs. It's a multifaceted topic. It's not a one simple explanation, but it's something that I feel passionate about ever since I was a little kid. And actually, I'm a featured speaker at the UFO Con in San Diego coming up, so you can check me out there as well. So again, it's Richard Lewis. That's richarddlewisauthor.com. So many blessings to all of you.
Can you get into more about Project Blue Book or?
Oh, Project Blue Book. Project Blue Book's fantastic. And again, in my book, the Paranormal Christian book too, I go through the whole history of UFOs. But Project Blue Book was actually not the first official project. There was Project Score. There were other. There were things that led up to the Project Blue Book. But the Project Blue Book was really the big one that kind of like put it all together. That's where Dr. J. Allen Hynek was brought in to do his. He was an astronomer and a scientist, and so they wanted that scientific perspective. He started out as a skeptic, and he was basically hired to debunk all the sightings, the swamp gas and things like that. But later on, he became more convinced of something there. And then towards the end, he was working with Jacques Vallée, who was a proponent of the ultra-dimensional theory, which I think has a lot of merit. So I talk about that in my book series, The Paranormal Christian. So yeah, Project Blue Book's very informative. And out of all the cases, there were some that were unsolved. And so you just have to wonder what those things really were.
You want to plug anything?
Like I say, my name is Richard D. Lewis. I am the Paranormal Christian. I've got a book series that I'm working on, the Paranormal Christian series. I've got 2 books on the market right now, working on the 3rd. I'm also a standard journalist as well. I write about many other things, entertainment, sports. There's many ways you can connect to me on richarddlewisauthor.com, and also you can find my books on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com, and any place where they sell books, you can go and ask for your copy of The Paranormal Christian.
All right, so today we're here with
Jack Hart.
Jack Hart. How did you get into this field?
Well, I've been working in this field since about 2016, and we're here at AlienCon 2023. And typically people think of AlienCon as a UFO convention, which is true. My booth is called Technostics Media, and we focus on the notion of extraterrestrial contact as an entheogenic experience.
So can you go into more detail about this I can't even pronounce it. This experience.
Entheogens are a naturally occurring hallucinogenic compounds. For instance, cubensis mushrooms and it denotes a more spiritual component to the experience rather than a social or a more mundane use of entheogens.
So have you ever seen any UFOs personally?
Again, my thinking in terms of the extraterrestrial contact is that it's more of an entheogenic experience, meaning that if it is probably more psychedelic in nature, and that the idea of the unidentified object is more of a dimensional experience than it is like a nuts and bolts saucer. And I would consider it to be triggered by the ingestion of certain psychedelic compounds.
So as far as these psychedelic compounds, where did you find your love for psychedelics?
Well, that's another story that we'll get into in a different interview.
Well, tell me a little bit about your books. I see you have 3.
Yeah, so the Technostics trilogy is essentially a 3-volume set that chronicles the rise of really what I call the high strangeness of our culture over the last 30, 40 years.
All right. Do you want to plug anything?
You can check my website out, and if you want to pan down, you can take a shot of the QR code right there. That'll take you to the website. Yeah, so check that out. That's techgnostics.com, and there's a lot of good information on there that'll allow you to delve into the world of techgnostics.
Appreciate you. Should I get some leads too?
Sure, yeah.
All right, so today we're here with.
Mo.
So how did you get into this field?
Well, by coincident, you know, I had a coworker who had some information and he shared it with me some years ago, and I looked into it and it interested me, so I delved and found it quite interesting and amazing. So it was kind of like, you know, what I had always looked for, the kind of information that I wanted. That's how I got into it. And what this is all about is actually about the existence of these great extraordinary beings called Masters of Wisdom. And at the head of them is that great spiritual teacher who's been expected by humanity all around the globe by different names. You know, depending on your faith, you might call him Christ, Messiah, Buddha, Krishna, Imam Mahdi. These names all referring to the same great being. And we are here to inform the public that he is actually living among humanity along with a group of these masters of wisdom, extraordinary, highly evolved beings that are here to guide humanity and inspire us to change our way of life for better. We are faced with major crises on this planet: environmental, political, social, you name it. And tensions are rising among the nations. You know, people are uprising all over the world, and our environment is just spiraling out of control. So these masters, and at the head of them, Maitreya, the world teacher, are here at the nick of time to help us to save ourselves, you know, to guide us, to inspire us, and put us on the right path before it's too late. They're going to inspire us to learn how to cooperate with each other and share the resources of the world through creation of a just global economic system which ensures that every human being have their basic necessities of life: food, shelter, education, healthcare, security, healthy environment. These are the birthright of every human being. And so that's why they're here, you know, to also guide us to put a stop to this madness of wars and tensions and destruction of the planet, and teach us how to live in, you know, peace and harmony together. That's basically in a nutshell. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I said, what made you want to go on this journey in life? What made you want to spread this message?
Well, that is something that it has been with me all my life, you know, about things about justice, about people living in peace and harmony together and enjoying the beautiful planet we have and share and be happy together, you know. I have never understood what's the reason for all these tensions, all these wars, all this, you know, animosity, you know. People all over the world love each other, you know. They, it's just the governments and who's running the show that kind of pit people against each other and taking advantage of it and exploiting people and the resources to enrich themselves. You know,
So you think that you would have chose another path if you would have never like got into this, or no?
probably, probably. You know, I had I have always been interested in this, you know, the state of the world and peace and harmony on the planet Earth. But I would have probably done some other things. But this is what I was searching all the time, and I found, you know, the group that actually is involved in doing something good for humanity, for the world, doing positive things. So I got involved.
So the main thing you want to see is world peace by the end of your time, or do you just want to see just global uniting
Well, we
people?
are going through a global transformation, and humanity is awakening, you know, to the reality that uh, we're not, things aren't right, you know, and our governments have not been helping, you know, their people and taking advantage. You know, they're all in the pockets. Our representatives, our governments are all in the pockets of big corporations and taking advantage of people. You know, taking our tax dollars and spending it on war and destruction. With a fraction of that money, you know, they could create, you know, heaven on earth. Everybody can have homes, everybody can have their basic necessities of life and live in peace and harmony. But our money, our tax dollars is going misallocated, and it's just, you know, creating havoc all around the globe. And people are just sick and tired of that.
Do you want to plug anything, or like?
Uh, I think I already mentioned that, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
masters and who Maitreya is. So all kinds of miracles have been taking place all around the globe, kind of awakening us to the fact that we are not alone, and uh, we have great help at hand. And these great beings are here not to govern our lives. They cannot infringe human free will, but they're here only as guides and to inspire us to change our way of life before it's too late. We have lost our way, and we don't know what life is all about. And we need to get in touch with our souls and our spirits, you know, what is life all about, you know, so we can change our way and live in peace and harmony.
What is your message to the world?
The message to the world is people, people of the world, wake up. Wake up before it's too late. We all need each other. We're all brothers and sisters, members of one family, one humanity. And we are not against each other. We need to help each other to change our way of life and change things for better. And ask for help.
This is our book, 73, The Great Pyramid Cairn. This was our project for COVID. All of our work went away, and this was something we'd wanted to do for 10 years. And so we actually had some free time. We put it to use. I had some evaluations of the pyramid complex in Giza that I wanted to get down on writing, and Johanna and I worked on this together. And so we wrote this book, and we have an alternative hypothesis about why the pyramids were built. and it's all in here and where it points. You want to say something?
Yeah, the why, the when, and the how the pyramids were built is what is in there. We gave credit to, I believe, the most ancient alien, God, and his offspring, his angels, and their hybrid progeny that called the Nephilim.
That pretty much sums it up.
All right, today we're here with
Sean Davis with Aliens Built Earth brand. Aliens Built Earth brand.
So how did you get into this?
I started as a truck driver actually, and it was like a way of trying to get out of the truck. And so I wore hats a lot. So I was like, well, how can I get out of the truck? So I started a hat brand, which was different than this. And then as I just kind of kept growing through life and doing different things, I was like, dude, like, I think aliens is really cool. And I was thinking of like, how can I implement that? So I was like, Aliens Built Earth, right? Because like it's kind of like, you know, people were like, you think we're 7 continents, right? So at one time, supposedly the continent was all one continent, and then it broke up. So now that you see the different continents, you have different origins, people from islands or different countries and things like that. So when these people cross over timelines or different parts of the country or the world, they enter a different either a different day or they go back in time and things like that. So they're traveling through time, right? So they're actually aliens from another place, right? Because they're from like Japan. They come to California. They're not from California. They're aliens, right? So it's like we're all aliens on Earth and we built it. So whatever you can kind of think in your mind, you know, you can build, right? So like you can like Jeff Bezos built rockets and people are going to space and all that stuff, right? So if we could do that, right? What were the people doing before we got here? And they have like pyramids and things that the rocks are like, I don't know how many tons they are, 4 or 5 tons. And people say, well, it was all man just lifting them up. But like, I don't know how many men with a 5-ton rock. I mean, maybe like 1,000 men, maybe. I don't know how many you need. But I'm just thinking, like, I think that they had an easier way of doing it than just, you know, there's a lot of rocks, bro. Like, you know.
Can you show me some of your merch?
Yeah. What you want to see, man?
Everything, man. Show
Let
me.
me show you this one, okay? So this is what I call the alien. When he's kind of pissed off, he transformed, right? So when you're out in the sun, and he's taking on all these rays out in the sun, you know, he's taking on heat, right? So he's taking on heat from the atmosphere. So then he turns colors, right? So he turns colors, right? The whole thing lights up and turns colors. Wow. So that's like, you know, this hat goes for $50 online, but today, you know, Alien Combo on selling for $25. So it's a really good hat. The material is the same material they put on the Civilus, which is the Nike hat. It's like $300 sneaker. I think when they came out, I don't know. I'm not really a sneaker guy, but something like that. Let me show you some other stuff. This was from a guy in Peru. He helped me make this design, and we did a collab for this. This is an astronaut alien, so we just have a little alien inside the astronaut suit, and then we have like almost like a NASA logo for Aliens Built Earth on the side of the hat, and these do really well. Little pink under visor, so yeah, it's a really good, really nice hat. This is our bread. This is my bread and butter. The bread and butter's on my head actually. This hat has been with me from day one, and it's always done well. We've never had any problem selling it, and it's just simple. Like it just says what, you know, Aliens Built Earth, and people just like, oh, it's dope. We got our Abe Vans, custom Abe Vans that we created, right? So these are online for $175. They got the Aliens Built Earth logo on the side with the Alien Abe. With the guys that helped me.
All right.
Troy Lamy, AWOL1, Soul Junkie, Danjo, he's helped me out. So I'm make sure I don't forget nobody. My homeboy Eric C, my homeboy Adrian Sidney, and my homeboy Chris Warner, who showed up today and was in the booth with me. His badass brand. He came, sat down with us, and hung out for like half the day. Thank him for coming in, and yeah, that's about it. My mom and dad, hey, mom and dad.
All right, so today we're here with.
Evelyn Hayworth.
How did you get into UFOs?
I love ancient aliens. It's my absolute favorite program. I can watch the same program again and again. I never tire of it. It fascinates me. I'm so happy to be here with like-minded people. You don't, where I live, nobody ever admits they love Ancient Aliens like I do. So I'm just thrilled to be here with this group.
All right, so what is your purpose at this booth? Like, what do you do?
It's to help people with their spinal problems. This is like do-it-yourself chiropractor, powered by gravity. You bring this home, you put it on the floor, you lie on the set. It accommodates 40 to 400 pounds, and you simply lie on it. Ideally, to put in ideal, perfect posture, alignment like a chiropractor, and by the way, it tractions in a way that's compatible with how the discs are built. See, our discs, they want our lower back and our neck to have that curve in it. So this is installing traction while it's putting the curve in. And it's idiot proof. It's amazing. As long as you have the correct pivot point on the pelvic piece, if you have too much curve, makes it less. If you have not enough, makes it more. It changes the trajectory, and we do guarantee it. We know this works. So we give you a 90-day, 100% money back guarantee. Thanks for asking. Was that more than you expected?
Yeah, I love it. That was probably like the best intro that I got so far.
You're so kind to ask. Thank you, honey.
All right. What's your favorite like alien movie? What do you think?
Oh, I really liked. I know it was spooky, but it was, what was it? The Fourth Kind? Yeah. What was it in Alien Encounters of the Fourth Kind? It's the one in Nome, Alaska, where they even have the videotape screws up because of the magnetism of the aliens. So I really like that one. Even though it is very spooky, I like how it shows. And I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Believe it or not, that's my favorite movie.
No!
Too. I promise you. I swear to God.
You were attracted to me because we're similar.
All right, today we're here with
Carl Dersma.
So what made you want to get into this field of UFOs?
Well, I started taking pictures of chemtrails and started getting UFOs. So I started getting more and more and more of them, and then I started taking pictures of finding them up there at night. Started taking pictures of UFOs up there and started recording them. I've been doing it ever since 2013.
What do you say like is the best UFO picture you have?
Best one I got? I got one right there. I got the one up there. That one. I think the giant ship here. And the alien picture that I took.
You think I can get a close-up of them?
Yeah, right here. You can get one. Only $10.
That's all right, man. That's cool though. I really like it, man. Believe it or not, I'm an amateur, UFO dude myself.
Really? That's good. Stick with it. How do you get yours?
I just, depending on what kind of camera you use, you might want to use like an infrared. It depends on if it's nighttime or daytime. I want to say.
I use a Nikon 7000.
Nikon 7000.
Yeah, a little one with a memory card in there. I zoom up on them, and I use a telescope too.
Yeah.
And I go through a telescope. Best thing to do is watch the chemtrails. Videotape a chemtrail, and you'll see something go by. Stop it after you're done videotaping. Go back and watch it. If you see something go by, stop it, back up, go frame by frame, and you'll see one go by.
Really?
Just like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to check that out.
Good. You should.
Can you repeat that again? What you just said?
I said I was sitting in the house, and all of a sudden something popped in my head and said, "Hey, why don't you go outside and look up?" And this is what I got.
Yeah, man. I love it. I really love it. That's the only reason I'm here. Appreciate you.
Good. Right on, brother.
All right, today we're here with
Danny Sheehan.
So what made you want to get into the UFO field?
I represent Lou Elizondo. I'm his attorney.
Really?
Yeah, right. And I was also the legal counsel for the Disclosure Project for
Really?
20 years. Right. And also the legal counsel for the citizens' hearings, public hearings on disclosure. And so I've been at this for like 30 years.
So those are some of your top clients, or have you represented anybody else?
Dr. John Mack at Harvard when they called him up in front of a major faculty committee because he wrote a book about UFOs. I did that too. I also represented the New York Times in the Pentagon Papers case back in 1971, and I did the case in the United States Supreme Court that established the right of journalists to protect their confidential news sources. So I do stuff like that.
So do you enjoy it, or do you literally just do it for a job?
Oh no, I enjoy it. I only do things that I want to do. I don't have to do it for a job. So besides, it doesn't pay much, right? So, but this is the most important subject, imaginable, as you probably know. So the whole process now that it's been publicly acknowledged that UFOs are real and that they're not ours, and they're not Russian, and they're not Chinese. It's clear that we're now on the brink of actually coming forward with disclosing what it is that's known about this, and that there's almost certainly an extraterrestrial civilization, and that we're going to have to get our people prepared to shift their way of thinking about this. So this is very, very important, these kind of gatherings.
So have you ever seen a UFO, or is this just
I've never seen one. I just know that I've read most everything about it, done all kinds of legal research about it. I've met with Defense Department people and lots of witnesses and stuff. So I think it's very logical based on the evidence. If I were having to present this to a jury, we could absolutely verify beyond any reasonable doubt that these UFOs are real, and that they're not Russian, and they're not ours, and they're not Chinese, and that the high likelihood is that they're from an extraterrestrial civilization. We could do that in a court of law.
So how did you get into law, or which law school did you go to?
I went to Harvard Law School, went to Harvard College, Harvard Law School, and Harvard Divinity School. And I first got involved in this when I was legal counsel at the United States Jesuit headquarters in Washington, D.C. And I was in their National Social Ministry Office and their Public Policy Office. And I got contacted by the Congressional Research Service at the request of President Carter to work with them on a top secret report to President Carter about the UFOs. Carter. Yes. Yeah. That's how I got involved in 1977.
So what tips do you have for anyone who wants to become a lawyer or get into this field like you?
Well, we're in the process now of talking with one or more universities to try to set up a course of study about all this. That there's a California Institute for Human Science that is talking about standing up an exo studies department there. That would be an extraordinarily important thing to do. We're going to be setting up a 501c3 public interest organization in Los Angeles to gather all the information together from all the different organizations and monitor what's being done by this new committee, this new office is being set up by Congress. Congress has just ordered on December 31st of last year, commanded that a new office be set up and that all of the military services turn over their information to this office so that they can bring it to the United States Senate Intelligence Committee. So all of this process is going on right now. So we're going to be setting up a 501c3 office to monitor what they're doing, make sure they do it. And if they don't do it, then we do it as citizens, at the same time. That's how you put pressure on the people. We did the case that filed the major federal civil criminal racketeering charges against the off-the-shelf enterprise of Oliver North and that whole crowd, which actually forced the appointment of a special prosecutor. And that's what brought it to Congress having to start holding public hearings about that. So that's the kind of thing that we'll be doing. We organize our citizens together to put pressure on our elected representatives to do what they're supposed to do, not lie to us and hide things from us and engage in covert operations, and then punish regular American citizens who try to actually get the truth about what's going on. So that's what our 501c3 is going to be, like a UFO 501c3. 501c3 is the section of the Internal Revenue Code that is a charitable organization. It's a public education organization like a university. or a public education like a library. That's what we'll do. So it's tax deductible and tax exempt. So people can give contributions to it and take a tax deduction for it, and we actually represent the citizens ourselves. That's what we're getting ready to do.
So, what is going to be the name of your 501c3?
Probably the UAP C3, which they now call it the UAPs, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, but it's UFO. It's a UFO C3. That's what I propose. All the major experts are saying, "Oh, don't call it the UFO because then people will think it's associated with ETs." Of course, which it is, and they don't want to talk about that. But I'm proposing to be the UFO C3.
So, have you actually dug through like any court filing documents that support your claims of UFOs?
I've seen the classified portions of Project Blue Book. Yes.
So, can you go into detail about this or no?
Well, yeah. Photos of crashed UFOs with U.S. personnel around taking photographs of them, etc. So I've seen that, and I've brought that information to the U.S. Jesuit headquarters. Gotten the U.S. Jesuit headquarters to authorize me to deliver a 3-hour closed-door seminar to the people at the SETI program at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory here in Pasadena. That I did a 3-hour seminar on the theological implications of contact with an extraterrestrial civilization.
So, have you ever been like in experiments at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory?
I've never been in any experiments. No, I just went and they asked me to deliver this seminar to them. The Catholic Church has issued an official public statement now on November 11th of 2009 with Pope Benedict. They specifically stated that now, in light of the discovery of more and more of these new exoplanets, the time has now arrived where it's become clear that much sooner than we had previously anticipated, we're going to be discovering life elsewhere in the universe. So the time has arrived for a major conversation to be undertaken among our people of the profound philosophical and theological questions that are posed to our human family now by the discovery of life elsewhere in the universe. So that is the conversation that has started now with front page newspaper coverage now of the reality of the UFOs. Now the time is to get ready to go. Who's piloting these things? now that we know they're real, who's piloting these things, and where did they come from, and what level of development are they at? Or what are their answers to some of the profound questions that we're still asking ourselves? How did the universe start? What's the teleological unfolding of the universe? Have they figured any of these things out? What is the source of consciousness? How did consciousness arise out of the apparently non-conscious materials in the world? How did this happen? What are they thinking about that? It's time to engage them in that. These are really extraordinarily important conversations, and we've had these conversations among ourselves, and we always get to the point, well, we haven't figured that out yet. Well, I mean, if they've been around for 1 million years, some of them 1 billion years longer. I mean, the universe is 13.78 billion years old. Our planet is only 3.5 billion years old. So there's other ones that could be like 4 or 5 billion years in advance of us. So they could have spent a little bit more time than we have on looking into these questions. And so they may have some more information. But we have to be circumspect about this. We can't just have them tell us the answer and say, like, oh, we're going to have to believe them, because we need to get information, have them help us figure this stuff out, work with us, give us the information they've got so that we can come to our own conclusions about this. So this is why these gatherings are really important. These are actual citizens that are gathering together to insist upon getting to the bottom of these things, not having to wait for the government to tell us. But at the same point, if the government knows, they're supposed to tell us. This is a democracy. We're supposed to be able to make decisions about this. So, we're leaning on them to get this information to us. And at the same time, we're going to be working ourselves to get the answers to these questions.
So did you believe in UFOs and aliens before or after you ended up taking this on as a job?
Oh, it was perfectly obvious that, once you realize as a child that the stars are actual suns like our sun, and you just assume that there's planets around them, and that there's got to be, there's trillions and trillions of star systems, and to think that this is the only one on which life is developed at all seemed to me to be a little nutty. And so I always figured that a lot of things we're doing on our planet to each other was a little nutty, if you think in terms of what's really going on here. And so from the time I was very, very young, I was convinced that there was life elsewhere in the universe. Didn't seem like it was a big surprise at all. But when I realized that nobody wanted to talk about it, nobody wanted to treat it like it was serious, I just kept on. I was one of the top candidates for the United States Air Force Academy back in 1963. Went and interviewed for the senatorial appointment out of New York with Senator Javits. When Javits asked me why I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy, I said because I wanted to be an astronaut. He said, well, why do you want to be an astronaut? And I said, because I wanted to get to go out and meet the other people from other planetary systems. He said, you actually believe that there's life on other planets? I said, well, sure. So do you. You're a United States Senator. You've got to know that. So that was all the way back when I was 18 years old. So I've been certain of this for a long time. And so that what we've got to do now is help get all of our human family together and having conversations about what the implications of this really are. And that's what we're doing. The philosophical implications, the theological implications, the public policy implications, the economic implications, the technological implications. These are profoundly important questions. And that's why we're gathering here together as citizens to talk about these things together.
So why do you think there's been so much skepticism within people not believing UFOs?
Well, because there's been a concentrated program run by the government, the Central Intelligence Agency and the Defense Department have had a conscious program of discrediting this whole thing. In fact, Richard Dolan, who was a PhD history student at University of Pennsylvania, has written a major 2-volume study of documents that he's gotten out of the government through the Freedom of Information Act. And there are actual documents showing that they had this program going, that they were lying consciously about this. There were documents inside that they knew that these were real, and that they thought they were from another planetary system, and they've known that. And so they've been going to great lengths to discredit anybody who's trying to raise those questions. And so they've destroyed the livelihood, they've destroyed the lives and families of hundreds of people trying to do this. So that has been outrageous that they've done that. And so that's what's caused people to be so skeptical, because they're afraid. They ridicule anybody who tried to talk about this. And that's why there's been such a sea change now since December 17th of 2017, when the New York Times, right on the front page of the New York Times, said, what do you know? These are real. And so we've crossed into a new period for being able to really come to grips with this now, just in these last several years. So there's been an entire different change in mood, but it's going to take time still for a lot of people to get past it. Like when the Catholic Church ended up saying, okay, you don't have to not eat meat anymore on Friday. They used to have that thing where it was like a mortal sin to eat meat on Friday. And then when the church changed that, it took decades for people to, like, you'd interview people and say, well, they had a photograph of Pope John Paul II, pointing at a calendar that it was Friday, and it showed him eating a steak. And his little old woman said, oh, well, the Pope may go to hell, but I'm not going to. So it takes people who've been indoctrinated into believing something without knowing what the evidence even is. It's harder to get them to change their mind because they've never really thought about it. And now they realize they have to change their mind because everybody's acknowledging this is true. And actually, people will start getting ridiculed if they don't believe it. Because that's really silly not to believe it when everybody's telling you that it's true.
So why do you think there was such a disinformation campaign towards UFOs?
Because they were trying to get at the technology. They were trying to get at the technology and develop it into a weapon system for the United States military. All during the Cold War, that's what they were trying to do. And then they went to such lengths and destroyed the lives of so many people. By the time you got into the Cold War, they were so deeply into this, they didn't know what to do. And so now we've gotten the information out in the public that it's true, that they're real. And so now we're having to go through the process of them kind of readjusting this. So that's part of what our 501c3 organization, the UFO C3, is going to be doing.
All right, appreciate you.
What's your name?
Marquise. Oh man.
You know, that's gonna make your YouTube channel.
So today we're here with
PK88667.
So what made you want to get into UFOs and the alien con?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, sir. We live in a wide universe where the Empire will dominate.
So what part of the galaxy are you from, sir?
Well, I was originally from Coruscant, but as a young child, I was stolen from my parents. They were killed, and I learned to love the Empire, sir.
All right. So, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
When the Empire Strikes Back, of course.
Was that the third one? Anakin?
You, sir, spend too much time with the Jedi. I think we're going to have to send you to the detention center and have you terminated.
Oh man, you're awesome. You are fucking awesome. I love you, man. No homo. I mean, wait, damn. Is that illegal to say now?
I'm not sure, sir.
All right. So,
Good job, my friend.
So, what do you
What brings
think?
you to Alien Con, sir?
What brings me to Alien Con? Well, really, you know, I'm a fan of UFOs. Probably seen a couple of thousand of them. You know, actually, you want to see a UFO?
Like I said, sir, I fly in spaceships all over the galaxy. I don't know what a UFO is.
All right, man.
All right, buddy.
Oh no, I'm really sure you're a UFO though.